Whether you're watching this today from upstate New York, the Central Valley of California, the plains of western Kansas, or central Ontario, the dairy farms may not all look the same. Yet there is one thing that is consistent. There is a growing trend in the use of technology and automation on farms of all sizes and in all regions. Today, we would like to show you what the future farm could look like and go behind the scenes on a modern dairy in Pennsylvania to see how they have invested in technology to automate repetitive jobs on their family farm. Before we meet the Brake family at Oakley Farms, let's spend a few minutes learning about the farm of the future. The world needs farmers, now and in the future. And farmers deserve to have an enjoyable, sustainable, and profitable future in farming. Our farm of the future brings that future within reach. A farm centered around the cow, where repetitive tasks are automated and where farmers can focus on the things that really matter to them. A dairy farm incorporating circularity, reusing valuable nutrients, fresh grass feeding, limiting waste, reducing emissions, and creating a closer link between farmer and consumer. We foresee fully robotic dairy farms for all farmers worldwide. The adoption of automation is gaining pace in reaction to labor shortages in the agriculture industry. Apart from that, roboticization is also a solution to the food challenges we face. The world's population is expected to grow to 9 billion in 2050, which means 70% more food is required. The farm of the future runs non-stop 24 hours a day. This 100% uptime is realized by continued improvement of our products, using available data sources and the expertise of our Lely Centers and technicians in the field. In this fully roboticized farm, farmers can manage their cows by exception, paying attention to those individual animals that really need attention based on available cow-specific data, leaving the rest of the herd in peace. A fully roboticized farm comes with smart machines delivering more and more data, not only from the farm and barn equipment, but also from feed suppliers and veterinarians and insemination suppliers. Elevating this data to forecast performances and offering clear choices to optimize the farm even at individual cow level. Clear insights at the right time and place to improve the farm's profitability, sustainability, and enjoyability. The impact of farming on the environment is becoming more important. Worldwide, we see stricter regulations. The future farm will work with circular systems to improve manure value, reduce emissions, and the reusage of nutrients at dairy farms. It's how you put waste to use and bring value back again. It's also about preventing losses during harvesting, storing, and feeding. The world is changing rapidly, and so are environmental and social needs. Consumers are becoming more critical about the way their food is produced. Is it made locally and in a sustainable manner? With great care for the animal? Future farming needs to respond to those changing needs. Let's head to Pennsylvania to see some of this technology in action and learn how this family works in partnership with their local Lely Center.
Hello, I am Glenn Brake, and I own Oakley Farms with my wife and my children, and we milk 120 cows. We farm about 400 acres, and all those crops go towards feeding the cows.
My name is Matt Brake. I farm here with my dad, Glenn. The farm comes from my dad's side of the family and my grandmother's side. We've been farming here since the early 1900s.
On December 14th of 2019, we had a fire that destroyed all the housing for the cows and the bank barn and the holding area.
At that point, it's like, well, do we stay in this or do we go out? And we decided to rebuild, and you're just kind of like, well, let's look into robotics, and it was going to be a great fit for our family. And now we're one of the most automated dairy farms you can get. So behind me is Lely's Astronaut A5 milking robot. The cows wear a collar that identifies her, so she can walk in the robot whenever she wants. As she comes in, she gets a pellet that's kind of like candy for her, and it entices her to come. If it's time for her to be milked, the arm will swing under, it'll clean the udder using some soft brushes, and then it'll use a laser to find the teats and attach to the cow. Once she's done, it sprays some iodine on her to keep things sanitized. Gates will open and the cow can go out and eat or lay down or whatever she wants to do. So this is the Lely collector. It's going through and it's picking up all the manure, kind of like a Roomba that you would have in your house. He's guiding through the barn, he knows where he's at. Once he collects all the manure, he'll dump that in his dump station. Once he's all done with his route, he comes back and charges up his battery. This is the Lely Luna brush. So a cow can come up, bump it with her head, and it'll give her a good back scratch. This is the Lely Vector. Right now, he's pushing up the feed so it's within easy reach of the cows. And over on the left side there, he has a laser that's measuring how much feed is at the feed bunk so that the cows always have fresh feed. If it drops below a certain point, he'll go ahead and load up in the kitchen a fresh batch of feed and then come out and deliver it. Here at this farm, we're loading the Vector with our tower silos, but other options to load the Vector would be commodity boxes or even a feed grabber, which you have your feed kitchen and the blocks of silage or your hay, and the feed grabber will run on a rail and pick up the feed and load it into the Vector.
As more and more farms turn to robotics and automation, the demand for real people to offer sales, support, and service will continue to grow.
So our local Lely Center is Lely Center Mid-Atlantic, and they have a great crew behind them. We have such a great working relationship with them. And if we have issues, they're just a phone call away, and they're more than willing to come out if we need help with something. And they work with us to make sure these cows are producing the best that they can and that the robots are working to their full potential.
I grew up in central Pennsylvania on a dairy farm, so I had a love as a child for the dairy industry and cows. I really enjoyed meeting people. I enjoyed being around customers, and that's how I got into sales, because I enjoyed making people's lives better for their own good. When I was originally started out in this industry, it was very basic. In the more recent years, we've gotten into the robotics side of it, where now dairy farms are a lot more robotically operated to make it appealing for the younger generations of dairy farmers. The most rewarding part of my job in sales is to take a concept from a prospect dairy farmer where we talk about their dreams and visions. I get a lot of satisfaction out of taking that farm and those people and transitioning them into the, shall we say, the 21st century, so that making the farm a long-term viable operation, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. What will farms look like in the area in 10 years? The curve to adopt robotic technology is definitely on a very upward path right now. I would not be surprised in 10 years if over half the herds may use robotic technology for milking and feeding. That definitely is the way of the future. Robotics is here to stay, and it will be here for the long term. When I was in the Netherlands in 2006, they talked about how it was much more attractive for younger people to be involved because there's robotics and computerization. With that being available now on a dairy farm, especially if you love animals, now we're combining technology with the care of animals, and it makes for a very exciting career.
My background, I went straight out of high school and worked in an auto body shop for a couple years. I didn't really see it going anywhere, so I decided to look elsewhere. I've always been really interested in mechanics. I would actually buy something new and take it apart just to see how it works. Naturally, when the robots came to our dealer, I was really into the technology and wanting to be part of the cutting edge area of the dairy industry. So a TSS person, that's technical service support. We provide a service to our customers to make sure that the robots are running 24/7 by providing maintenance to the robots, service when it breaks down, phone support, all of the above. As far as skills needed for this job, if you have a mechanical mind and mechanical ability, it really helps, but really just having the willingness and ability to learn really is the biggest skill you can have. The future need for employees in this industry is growing increasingly, looking for young people that have a drive for technology and robotics.
In my background, I didn't have a lot of agricultural history. I grew up riding horses, but as a freshman in high school, I always loved cows, and I didn't even know that there were any breeds of cows. Freshman in high school, didn't know there were different breeds. So I came from nothing to a lot of experience. FMS stands for Farm Management Support. I tell people a lot of the time when I tell them what I do is just that I'm a dairy consultant for farmers who milk cows with robots. That usually ends with more questions, but it's how I started with it. One of the biggest things to FMS is helping farmers understand the data they get with robots. So every time a cow milks in the robots, we get 125 data points. So it's a lot of information for the farmer to interpret and know what's important in managing his cows. So we're there to help kind of identify the things that he needs to pay attention to and what he needs to look at day to day. And this is especially crucial when farms start their robots for the first time, because they're brand new to the technology, they're brand new to the computer system, and so they're learning so much at the beginning that we're kind of there as a guide to help walk them through, what this new technology is. The typical day is that there's not a typical day in my job. A lot of times we're going on a customer's computer to look at their data and kind of get an understanding of how the herd's doing ahead of time. And then a lot of the time we're traveling to farms, talking with the customers, reviewing the data with them, and going over any pros and cons that we might see, looking for opportunities to help them get better, and reviewing the herd, walking the herd, and seeing what the cows show us in real life. I think the most rewarding thing about FMS is that you're helping farms, so seeing positive changes come from your partnership with a farmer is what's most rewarding. I always said I wanted a job that's on farm, but not on farm all the time, and I wanted to feel like a team player, and so that just really encompasses what FMS is to me.
For when a young person is starting to consider careers, a career in agriculture is a great choice. Being able to work with cows and outdoors a lot, it is just wonderful. And the people in agriculture, you will find none better.
The Farm of the Future works with a range of integrated solutions built around the needs of both the cows and the farmer. A farm which will help to feed the world in an enjoyable, sustainable, and profitable manner. A farm which will inspire future generations to become farmers or pursue other careers in agriculture. A farm which will bring a bright future. In the coming years, we strive to make this farm possible. After all, we are farming innovators. To learn more about an exciting career in this field, please visit us at lely.com.